the map is for game number 4. This could be the final game in this series if TheOne are able to close out. And it's a SOA map choice, though. They're taking us to Infernal Shrines.
All right, they chose a battleground where they could come back at any given point. Infernal Shrines definitely fulfilling that criteria. Although, the statistics are speaking a different language for SOA Adventure.
Ooh, that is a... yeah, risky pick by SOA, taking us to this map when they have a significantly lower win rate. 1-6, TheOne, 3-2. I feel concern for SOA's chances, but they have continuously proven us wrong in the past, with TheOne taking the first ban.
The numbers speak against SOA, but TheOne are going to try and make this their game. A 3-1 is enough. A 3-1 is enough to fulfill their dreams and travel to Taiwan, representing their motherland, China. And maybe they're going to be one of the teams to make their fans proud again. Because let's shift away a little bit from SOA versus TheOne here, because the state of China as a whole, I think right now is very curious. Korea is coming out strong as they've ever been. They're actually considered to be the strongest region in the world right now. And for China, they're a moment to make a statement here. They don't want to just be the little brother of Korea. They want to show that Chinese Heroes of the Storm still has what it takes to compete internationally after failing multiple times, with the exception of maybe E-Star. But SBT and CE notably weren't able to bring back the splendor and honor that was once China Hots.
But this could be the opportunity for them to do so, at least at the Eastern Clash. I remember, or they do share a region, I believe, in terms of Hero League. We actually, Yaya, I believe, gave you some information on like one of the players. I think it was Meng, actually. It's like one of the highest ranked Hero League players in the region.
Meng and Hugo. Yeah. There are, of course, Korean servers, and sometimes Chinese players, they would like to compete on the Korean server, because let's face it, the distance isn't really too large, so ping-wise and connection-wise, it shouldn't be an issue. And Hugo is actually known to be one of the highest ranked players, even on the Korean server on his Illidan, so that's how good he is.
Indeed it is. We see Greymane and ETC coming in for SOA at the start. Managing to take the ETC back, it very nearly turned the game around for them in the first series. The second game. And in the third game, it was a big undoing for them. So highly prioritized it seems in China, the cow comes out.
Yep. SOA is trying to get the ETC value once more. And right now, there's only 2 ways for SOA to play this, while there's multiple ways of TheOne playing this. So for SOA, it is either go for something crazy, bust out the Zarya again, try to really catch your opponents off guard and put all the eggs in one basket, or just play as safely in standard as you possibly can. Either of the strategies is going to work, while the other one isn't. And TheOne, on the other hand, they can also play a little bit more, experimentally, but they could also stick to the old guns. Pick heroes like Arthas, pick heroes like Caricia, how she just dominated SOA a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, the Arthas so dominant last time, the Cassia so dominant in that same game. I'm not too surprised. Cool to see them coming back in, and they have their damage, they have a solid tank. They pick a second tank, they're going to have a very reasonable time. What else did they have last time? What was their second tank in the last game? On the Battlefield game?
It was Turiel, I think. Yeah, Turiel, because Arthas had crazy movement speed boosts.
Indeed. So yes, very solid. That would be a very solid pick for them if they did want to do it again. Rhaegar is banned out by SOA, but they do get first dibs on support. So the question is, what is Uncle G going to get? Looks like maybe TheOne want to try and force him onto Uther, as that would be the go-to pick if TheOne banned out Stukov, most likely.
So I think here's TheOne's thought process. They ban away the Stukov, which, as you said, forces SOA into picking Uther most likely, but there's still a support that would fit TheOne's team composition very nicely, and that is Lucio. The movement speed boost on Arthas makes him a much more mobile engager and peeler for the backline, and it really seems to me like TheOne is just trying to narrow down these support choices for Uncle G, and then maybe, as one of the 2 last picks, pick a counter to Uther. Uther is definitely a more susceptible support to getting countered by heroes like Gul'dan or Lunara, and that could actually fit their team comp still.
So, very likely So the support is the question. I still think they're going to pick Tyrael as their second tank. That would be my go-to assumption there, because it would definitely deny it away from the one. So then it was very much down to support. Oh no, the Yorick, and nothing we said was right at all. The Yorick and Alexstrasza coming in.
A touch of open division from yesterday with Sexy Platypus and the Undergods winning every single time Alexstrasza, the Dragon Queen, was locked in.
Wow, they're wave clear now. Their shrine control is actually really good. Depending on what their last damage dealer is, they could, in theory, pick a mage with this, and it would be pretty reasonable. Their shrine control is really good, and if they do pick a mage, maybe like Jaina, for example, then they could give Arthur some real trouble. Just something that isn't affected by Cassia's Blind.
I wouldn't even hate a Gul'dan. I mean, we keep saying this, but for some reason, Chinese teams just don't really seem to be too comfortable in heroes like Gul'dan. By the way, my latency has increased to 12. Maybe you can fix it.
Still an 11. I'll attempt to refresh. Malthael is picked up here. Nice and solid here.
Malthael, of course, already a huge tank shredder. He could also go for the reduced healing, the Touch of Death at level 7. And as we predicted, we do have Lucio now in the mix to support Arthas' lack of mobility. Same goes for Malthael. And sometimes even Hanzo can benefit greatly from his Overwatch companion. And what is Soa now going to come up with? As we said, a mage would fit in really, really well. Could be a Gul'dan, even a Kel'Thas, to be honest.
I was about to say, I wouldn't even hate Kel'Thas, or even Kel'Thuzad at this point with the lack of Oh, Chromie!
Yeah, I mean,
this got Chromie.
Every European team, every Korean or NA team would basically lick their fingers and be like, yep, that's going to be my Chromie game, and I'm going to shine, but it is China, and rules here are a little bit different.
But it is China. We shall find out the pick shortly. I'm desperately trying to get above 11. Oh, hang on, that might be it. It starts
turn it up to 11.
Jump up. Jaina is the mage pick, so we do see a mage. I'm pretty much stuck on 11, dude. I can't get above.
No problem.
I've gone down to 8, but 11 is my highest.
Let me do another refresh and see what I can do on my end. Nope, that's 13. That's a little bit too high. Nope. Damn it, I think... Okay, 11. 12. Hooray. There we go. That's what we're going to stick with.
Good enough. Yeah. Good enough.
That will suffice.
So then, we once again apologize for that. We do cast this from a clean feed every episode. That is why you will sometimes see Kendrick jump out of full screen and be like, what? We can see his browser. But in the end, having a look at these two compositions.
As long as you can't see my background, my desktop background is all good. We'll probably trigger a lot of people.
Both of the team comps are very strong here.
Yeah.
I'm leaning a little bit more towards Soa's if they play... I'm trying to work out how to word this. If they are able to play like they are the better team, if they're able to play more aggressively and just throw their weight around a bit more, it's going to make Malthael potentially a little bit more cautious. I think they could be able to take control of the objectives every time.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Soa's composition is quite stable. As long as Alexstrasza gets the heals through, it's going to be hard to take them down. However, we have a very scary looking team composition, especially Hehe's Arthas is going to be a hero to be on the lookout for. And speaking of Hehe and his men, we're going to introduce, for potentially the last time, TheOne with Hugo on Malthael. Lucky plays Hanzo. Meng is going for that Cassia. Zato on Lucio this time, and Hehe on said Arthas.
And on the right, fighting for survival, it is Soa, Faye on Leoric, Uncle G on the Alexstrasza, TY on Jaina, Klong on ETC, and sorry, he once again returns to the Greymane.
Alright, Tetcher. I do not appreciate or do not approve of this pleb mount choice, but it doesn't fit a queen.
However,
what can you do?
She turned into a dragon, so it is forgivable. As we do see Faye running into the abundance, immediate healing, but Lucio just dropping him down to about the same amount anyway, just with consistent auto attacks because he stood still.
Alright, and already we can see...
Double stun, Jaina damage, first blood!
There we go. Fantastic! That was really fast, and that's exactly the sign of hope, the sign of life that Soa needed. Because they need to stabilize. I was going to say the abundance build, of course, always has a little bit of a drawback to it. That is, if the enemy team has a lot of AoE CC, a lot of AoE damage. Sometimes you will actually pay for grouping up and clumping up. But Leoric, look at that. He actually besting Hugo on that Malthael up to this point, keeping the health even.
Pretty good to see. Leoric will eventually lose the lane, but he can sustain pretty well, which is a solid matchup. You can see Malthael easily able to shred through him, especially due to the minion wave being pushed up, thanks to the very solid wave clear. Jaina starting off with the increased duration on her Frostbitten trait, allowing her to gain stacks easier and more consistent slows, makes it easier to kite Arthas.
I know that could of course lead to still double Frostbolt at 4 and 7, or we could see the Arcane Brilliance coming in there at level 4 again to basically give her a little bit of mana regen whenever she attacks a frosted target with an auto attack. Now, Hihi coming in with again the double root is good. Lucio trying to boop Alexstrasza back, but the healing abundance was already cast, so no chance of killing her.
Yeah, that was a nice little engage reminiscent of the Battlefield games, but nothing too special at that point. There was no damage really to follow up. Cassie was there, but busy killing off the mercenaries. So it made a little bit more sense just to to threaten, try and instill the fear of Lich into them and the fear of Lucio, but nothing was ever going to come from it.
Alright, Klong is now scouting the perimeter, finds a wild Lucio, doesn't catch it though.
Minions being cleared, mercenaries. So we're definitely doing a better job in terms of mercenaries at the start of this game. By the way, Alexstrasza going for self-movement speed, despite the level 1 abundance. Second blood coming in for Soa over here. Very nice pickup by, once again, Klong.
Yeah, that was a good pickup there. Soa continues to keep up the pressure here. 2 kills already against 0. And although these kills don't necessarily have to mean a lot, it's still a nice way to start the game. It basically makes sure they get a little bit more control over the map. Because of Malthael no longer being there, they basically shred this Fallen Shaman here in the top lane there as well. And as you said, Exuberance being picked for the Alexstrasza, basically prioritizing her own mobility, her own safety over the one of her teammates. And I think if you compare this game to the last one where Arthas was picked and Uncle G just suffered so hard on that Stukov, it's definitely a good choice. Like, keeping Alexstrasza safe and sound is more important sometimes than anything else, because if she drops low in health, her healing will be drastically reduced.
They move on to the point with already a big head start for the one, but Soa looking to try and gain positioning here. Kneel Peasants for Leoric, going to give him some good lane clear and going to help him on the shrine as he moves forward, trying to create some harassment.
Dragon Queen.
Great damage coming in from Malthael through the Dragon Queen, and that's a Dragon Queen going to have to spam out that healing. Keep them in with a chance. Need to maybe see that the abundance is spammed out a bit more.
Yeah, the big healing, by the way, by the Dragon King completely missed, but here goes Hugo!
Hugo able to survive, able to move to the back. In the back line though, Hihi drops good damage and steals the objective. Faye not able to drain enough. Nice double root by Arthas. Is there enough damage? Yes, there is to kill Faye. Everyone else will be able to back up though.
The big problem here for Soa was that they were unfortunately making the wrong decisions. So A, they came too late to the party when there was already a 20 skeleton lead, and then decided still to contest it and waited with the Dragon Queen for so long that it was almost impossible to catch back up on the lead. The Warriors were a little bit too reluctant, the Alexstrasza was a little bit too late, some of the abundance circles also missed greatly, so if they just fight this out a little bit cleaner, especially Uncle G, like, you don't hear me being critical of Uncle G too often because he's a fantastic player, but in this case here, he needs to be a little bit more precise with the timing of the circles.
Yeah, needs to potentially drop those a little bit, like you said, a little bit quicker, I would say,
yeah, so
that he can set it up for damage before it comes in or as it's coming in, as opposed to afterwards. As we see, for the moment, the self-healing on the Flame Buffet coming in for Alexstrasza as well. So she's gone for a pretty much a mixed bag build here, going for team healing with globes, self-movement speed, and then self-healing. So very interesting hybrid build there.
Very selfish Alexstrasza build, if you will, because it's all about keeping herself sustained. It's all about keeping herself alive. Can't really blame her too much, because once again, if Alexstrasza is doing fine, her healings will be more powerful, and as a result, her teammates are also going to do better. But you do have a point, Tetra. It's a very unusual build.
So other talents worth talking about. Lucio not going for the party mix here, instead going for the extra radius if at least 2 heroes are in his Amped Up. So nice little cool ability there.
Wisdom Duelist, by the way, for Sorry on that Greymane.
which is excellent. Once again, the usual go-to talent, but it is so good, so it is worth mentioning. So we see Klong moving very far forward, finds many enemies, but he was waiting in the bush the entire time. Klong will go down, vengeance is achieved as for the kills that ETC achieved earlier.
Cute little detail here, Klong knew that he was going to die, there were no teammates in sight, so he quickly decided to run towards to the left, because that was far away from the structures. Oftentimes people just blindly run towards their own buildings and actually give a couple of seconds to the enemy team when it comes to starting sieging up. So a nice detail in death still doesn't remove the fact though that his death itself, of course, was not optimal.
As we see level 10 hit almost identically for both teams here. We have Tormented Souls once again, which China just does not like the last rites. We see once again Sound Barrier, the Army of the Dead. Hanzo is holding. Interesting to see here.
Yeah, look
Jaina
at the
a Frost Ball Lightning and a March of the Black King.
Yeah, look at the standoff here between Hanzo and ETC. Who's going to lose patience first? Is it going to be Mosh Pit? Then Dragon Arrow, of course, is the one way to go. Or is it going to be Stage Dive? Then maybe there could be a Dragon Strike.
I mean, Dragon Strike, at this point, the only reason I can see Dragon Strike being useful in this particular matchup is for zoning.
Yeah, exactly.
Even then, I'd still prefer the Dragon Arrow. Drop that to Alex Garza. Well,
I'm not saying it's a smart thing to do the standoff here. I'm just saying that Hanzo could go for some Chinese craziness.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you would plan on picking the Dragon Arrow, let's entertain it for a bit. If you plan on picking the Dragon Strike, yeah, it's a lovely zoning ability. Stars Mosh Pit's already picked. So there we go, Dragon Arrow. But if they plan on picking the Dragon, the extra double dragon there, basically, then maybe they could have picked Syndragosa and just set up for the level 20 combo. But otherwise, they have no setup for it. They have just Arthur slows. As we see them move in, Mosh Pit interrupted. It's on the 10th. No, it's on the 4th. As Alex Garza moving forward, Cleansing Flame. Trying to heal up. It's Lucio for Jaina right now as we see Sorry focus down. Full lightning value. As Klong is getting chased down by Arthur's wind buff. It will be able to force him back with the Oryx in danger. They're turning it round, getting the counter kill here. As Uncle G is getting focused. The Cassia damage though. Uncle G standing in that fend of Meng will pick up not another kill. Faye will escape.
Okay, nice escape there. The arrow just being a little bit too short. Otherwise, Faye would have definitely bit the dust here. But as you said, a great comeback here by Soa. Klong is actually still fully alive. Faye now trying to use his self-healing capabilities to put some pressure on the Cassia. And look at that, reinforcements arriving for both teams. But Klong is still that big menace, trying to zoning out as much as he can.
Faye is so low though, so he moves on to the objective and just clears out a couple with what little health he has left before Alex Straza arrives back, seeing as she was the last one to die. But it's 34 skeletons already in, so as you can see here, ETC kinda has to make a move. Faye, in fact, is gonna dive it with the March of the Black King and immediately gets wiped. Abundance heals up ETC a little bit more though, as Hugo looks for a play. But with the Dragon Arrow, this is about to be a massacre! Down goes Soa. Only one member died, though. There we go, too, as Hugo is able to finish off Greymane.
Yeah, and you gotta have to question the decision-making of Team Soa right now. It almost seems to me like they see a shrine and they commit to it no matter how far behind they are. No matter how many team members they just lost, they continue to coming back to it like a magnet. It seems to attract them, and we know that Soa has better map awareness than this. We know that they know how to play the map. We know that they could have gone for maybe the middle fort. Just ignore it. Ignore the Punisher. Try to get value elsewhere. Instead, they keep slamming heads against each other, against the One, and their team fighting once again for the One just looks a little bit more crisp and clean.
Yeah, that was a little bit neater, being able to just back up away from Leoric. Just let them take the abundance. You could absolutely have it, because then you get the 4v1 for basically free. They attempting to sneak a couple away in case the enemy team wasn't there. Does force the objective to come out, but now his team kind of isn't here. They've traded bot lane. Unfortunately, that does mean that they're now not defending top. So how aggressive are we going to see the One go? Because it's just a trade up right now.
Yeah, this is not too bad of a move, though. They are willing to trade a top forward for the secondary defense line, which is normally a good trade for the team that is trying to go for the secondary defense line, because it paves the way for the keep later on. Look at that. The Punisher actually masterfully distracted here by Faye, causing it to run towards the towers, and all of a sudden, look at Team Soa. They basically took into account what we criticized them for a little bit earlier. They're forcing the teleports back from the One.
I mean, they're going to die, though. Oh
my goodness. Here!
As we see Clog pulling back, zoning out for his team. He's being much closer to the middle of the lane. But yeah, well done. They actually are able to get out of that. They put pressure onto bot lane, force the ports. They defend their mid keep. It takes a lot of damage from the Arcane Sentinels. He very nearly dies again. But they are alive, and that is the important part. The keep, doesn't matter how much health it has, as long as it's alive, it's not sending catapults in your lane.
Tetra, can you imagine what would have happened to Soa if that arrow over max distance would have landed?
Yes, they would have died. I can very much imagine. The poker face, the straight man of the comical group. As we see Soa moving back into the mid lane to clear this up. But yeah, that would have been a huge move if Hanzo had been able to land that.
All right. Now, 16 is here, but Soa, despite all the losses and all the blows they had to suffer from in the early mid-game, are still doing okay. The top keep is alive, if damaged quite a bit, but they're not too far away from the 16 themselves, and the next shrine won't even be top. It will be in the middle, so a little bit more time to catch a breath.
Oh, Long tries to do it, but the teleport away by Hugo. Tormented Souls, they want to try and kill him. Ring of Frost dropped as the attempted counter, and as such, Clog will survive here. Clutch move by Uncle G. He's so low, but Abundance saves the day. But Dragon Queen has to be procced just to keep him alive.
So many cooldowns to be popped here just to save one lonely cow. And Klong, on top of that, won't have his most impactful ability, potentially, for that next shrine. Thankfully, though, for Soa, it hasn't even been announced. TY just continues to go deep, though!
Ooh! ETC with the stun, that protects TY. Klong pulling back, he'll be able to escape as well. Arthas not even landing the root this time. But once again, they burn yet another heroic, having to burn Cleansing Flame to keep him alive. Fei also getting closed in on now. I don't think Wraithwalk will save him, actually. He's going to find all these members. No, he might actually get out. He's behind the gate enough that he'll probably
yeah, he's going to live for now, but you put it on point, Tetra. Klong redeemed himself there with a spectacular save on TY, but still, so many cooldowns burned. However, the next shrine is nowhere near to get activated. Mosh Pit almost ready again, only 46 cooldown, 46 seconds. Dragon Queen should maybe be available. The Cleansing Flame definitely will be.
If they can kill the Cassia here, yes they can. Dragon Arrow land, as we see Greymane completely separated with the Ring of Frost, allowing them to try and get the counter kill onto Arthas. Sorry, not the counter kill, a second kill. They burn a heroic of their own, getting the sound barrier out. Tormented Souls, though, is good. TY is so sorry. They get out again. Martin the Black King picks up the Malthael in the back. And both of the low assassins are healed up by Uncle G. And right now, Soa, they look like the luckiest team in the world. But it's all skill.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry here for surviving this one. Spectacular Greymane display. And Soa is trying to just squeeze out every ounce of efficiency they can get out of this, trying to get mercenary camps before finishing the shrine. And this, for the first time, Tetra, could be a Punisher going over to the red team, going over to Soa, and this could very much pave the way, perhaps, to a combat. Here we see another replay. Meng just gets popped out of his socks, and here we have a fantastic Ring of Frost catching two members. Arthas is dropped so low as well, has to retreat, and here comes the big flank by Fei. Watch the Leoric just getting tons of value.
You can see Sorry and TY, a face melt by ETC saved Sorry there. The Lucio auto attacks would have killed him, but the knock away knocked him out of range. A clutch move, and like you said, the Punisher at level 18 goes over to Soa, and they actually look like they want to try and use it to get the first keep of the game.
Unfortunately for Soa, it is not going to be a Punisher pushing in the bottom lane, which would have been the weakest lane for the one. But still, they can't complain about that. Look at those constant ominous Wraith blocks here, reducing the damage when it comes to attacking the Punisher. Very important. Uncle G pulls all the triggers and uses the Dragon Queen.
With the extra duration, thanks to his level 16, they're moving forward. Punisher gets baited, but it's too late. The keep is down, and right now the only objective for Soa is to leave this place as soon as possible. March of the Black King is used. Fei will drop, but if someone has to die, it might as well be Leoric, and Soa are going to be happy with that.
Although Leoric promised us to only choose allies who would never betray him, his teammates were not down to support him in that endeavor. But look at that. The One, they're on the hunt here for more objectives. And with those mercenaries, they could maybe even try to poke down the already weakened top keep, equalizing the score in terms of keeps 1-1.
They want to try and put the pressure on, but Leoric is back, well, soon, basically, in 12 seconds from his timer. But of course, if he was to drain off a minion wave, he would get even more with his swing, or even off enemies if they were to push any further. So as such, top is defended. Bot 4, however, is undefended, and that shall fall very quickly. Actually, maybe not. They don't want to take the risk of fighting under the slow, so instead they just push up the minion wave.
Yeah, right now it's all just, you know, going for that level 20 for the One. Without the 20, they can no longer look for a fight. And now, right now, there's a little bit of a lead going on for Team Soa. But either way, One keep dead. By the way, if there's ever a keep you would want to lose out of the 3, it's always best to lose middle, in my opinion, because it is easiest to defend the mercenaries and minions there. Whereas on the side lanes, where there's a longer movement path, where there's basically takes you a longer time to deal with it, it's not always that optimal.
I would agree with you for every scenario except one, and that is only viable on this map, and that is when you don't have mid keep. If the Punisher is in bottom or top lane, you can't bait it, because you'd have to bait it all the way to the opposite lane. There is nowhere to bait it to unless you bait it into core range.
Of course, there's another point that needs to be said about middle keeps. If they are down, and if you lost that one, it's also the shortest path for the enemy team to then go on the core, whereas on the side lane, they oftentimes take a little bit longer.
This is also a double Merc lane. There are several issues with it on this map, but it's still, like you said, it's still the most preferable just due to personal defense against catapults. If there's the enemy team and no objective is involved, then you are fine. Also, by the way, we see the extra health coming in for Alex Strasser.
Yeah, the Blessing of the Red Dragonflight, I think it's called.
No, just Blessing of the Red.
Blessing of the Red. There we go. And that, of course, can be activated on any hero. It then goes on a cooldown, and it will increase the health of that said hero by 500, making heroes like Jaina, making heroes like Greymane much more tanky, much tankier, but can be applied on Alex Strasser herself.
Exactly, so Alex Strasser going to be just making her team as hard to kill as possible. Now remember, this is actually very relevant for Leoric as well, who has gone for the Death March, going for the percentage draining. He's going to be so hard to take down.
He's going to be so hard to kill, and at the same time, he's going to be able to dish out so much damage if those... oh my goodness, that was a golden shot here by Hanzo. Well done.
Pulling in, Leoric gets rooted. He drains a lot of health back as Malthael takes a lot of damage, being forced back. The Dragon Queen is propped. Remember, the extra duration coming in here is going to be so useful. The armor reduction is huge, but they're all still forcing their way forward. Here comes the full lightning, getting full value. But look, the full 4-man drain, but it's being countered by the Lucio sound barrier here. No one is dead yet, but Leoric will almost certainly be the first to fall. No, he's surviving.
He lives.
As they force away to the point, 35 to 27. BTC, 2-man mosh pit into front by the Dragon, but it's too late. Arthas falls, and that might be it. Clone may have just won his team the game as they kill off the Malthael here, looking for Lucio, but he's too fast. Can't catch Lucio, but they can get an objective and push in the bot lane to try and end the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, this could be Soa's path to glory, maybe even tying out the series to a 2-2 and putting us into a game number 5. But first of all, they're going to have to get past that keep. They're going to have to get past the defenders of the One. Arthas is still dead for 30 seconds. Nothing is blown to pieces.
He used his revive already. He's dead for 80 seconds, Kendrick. Can they defend this in a 3 versus 4, which will soon be a 3 versus 5 once Leoric comes back to life? Punisher at full health, EDC power sliding in. If they can get Hanzo, this is over. And Hanzo makes his way towards the base with the burn of Alex Strasser on him. He will survive. That is a saving grace. They have a small chance to try and turn this round. And Soa just focus on the core, looking for the quick kill here. They get it on Cassia. The shield is dropped by Zano to try and delay, but members of the One are falling. That is it, Kendrick.
Soa does it. They tie out the series in spectacular fashion. The remainder members of the One are now getting cleaned up. Here comes another Cleansing Flame, dealing terrible, terrible damage to both enemy heroes and the core. And we couldn't have asked for a more intense series. Look at Uncle G there in the back. He can't believe it himself. They're only one step away from qualifying themselves, and they are riding a huge wave of momentum right now. Team Soa, the hugest underdogs from